This is Moodle for Beginners, a complete course for teachers. As you watch this video and follow along, I promise you this will provide you with everything you need to learn Moodle 4. Regardless of the version of Moodle that you're using, this video is what you need to become proficient in Moodle to teach on-site and online courses. So let's get started. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you use the dashboard. Once you log into e-learning with your username or your email address, you'll be presented with the option to view the dashboard. The dashboard view is also available from the menu on the very top next to the logo here as well. Typically, the dashboard will include announcements or updates, the recently accessed courses, and then you have the title right below it. Notice there are additional options here on the right-hand side to navigate through the recently accessed courses. Further down on the dashboard, you have the course overview. The course overview is going to give you a listing of all the courses where you can choose to display them a certain way, whether using the card view, which we are currently seeing, or list view or summary view. Notice you can adjust here how you want those courses sorted, and also search for your courses and filter them, whether you want to see the courses in progress or future courses or past courses. Notice that for each one of those options or courses, here under the course overview, you also have these three dots where you can further customize the view for this course, whether you want to star it and display only the ones that you have placed a star on. Note that whenever you're customizing those filtering options, remember that if you are missing a course that it's no longer showing up, you'll need to check here under the filtering options and make sure at least to select to display all. In that way, you'll be able to see all the courses that you have access and that you may have filtered out at one point or another. Further down here, you have the timeline. The timeline is actions that you have to do based on the activities on the courses. This is activities that have due dates. This is particularly helpful for students. Further down, here you have the events from the calendar. They'll trickle down from all your courses, or you can create new events by simply clicking here a new event and then enter the event title, the date when it's due. You can put a description for that event, the location. Now note on the right-hand side of this, you also have the block drawer. So this will display the upcoming events if you prefer to see this view, and this is tied to the calendar. If you don't want to view the upcoming events here, in this case this block, we can close the drawer block by clicking on the X sign, and then we know to bring it back you use this arrow on the right-hand side. To modify the dashboard, you click here on Edit Mode, and from here add new blocks. Let's say courses. In our case, here at the very bottom in the center area. If for some reason you incorrectly added a block, you can click on the gear icon here or the action menu, and you can choose to hide the block or delete the block completely from your dashboard. You can also rearrange the order of those blocks. Let's say the course overview, the list of all courses, you want to move it up. With the edit mode on here on the top right, you click on this arrow icon in front of the action menu, and then you drag this up where you want it, and then turn off the edit mode, and this is how it will display all the time. Next, in our e-learning tutorial, we are going to learn how to modify our course. So let's say that we are starting from the beginning, we are new to e-learning, and now we have just logged into the dashboard and we want to modify our course. First thing we need to do is locate our course that we want to work on. You can locate it either directly from under recently accessed courses, or you go under the course overview and locate the course. You click on the title of the course, and then by default, you'll be presented with something very similar to this. At the top, you'll have the title, and then on the left-hand side, you'll have something similar to this, which is referred to as the course index. The activities, you'll enter them here in this center block in the larger area. Now, on the right-hand side, there is also this drawer block, which is like a third panel. To close this drawer on the right-hand side, you can click on the X. On the very top, these are the main functions that you can utilize for managing this course. These options will change depending on what you're doing in the course. So right now we are at the course level and we can access the course itself, the settings of the course, we can view the participants of the course, grades, reports, and some additional options related to the course. Typically, if we are in another activity, let's say the assignment activity or something else, these options, as I mentioned earlier, they will change appropriately for that type of activity. Remember, in order to change anything related to the activity, you'll most likely, in most cases, you'll have the settings option to modify that particular activity. So 2 things to remember. You remember that to modify anything related to the items in the course, you use this list of options here on the top, whether it is the course itself or the activities. Now, one other thing to remember is that on the very top right, we have this edit mode. For us to make changes to this course, we need to enter into edit mode, turn on basically the edit mode. Now, with this release of e-learning and Moodle, to turn on editing, we need to toggle this option on the right-hand side, and that'll display a whole bunch of new options in our course page. Notice that you have these little icons, the pen icon for each section, and then for each item as well. Notice that next to each one of the sections and each of the items, we have these 3 dots. The 3 dots have settings for the item that it corresponds with. So for example, if we wanted to modify anything related to the announcements, this is the option to change the settings. And there are 2 ways to change those. You can click on the item itself first, and then click on settings on the top from the toolbar here on the top. Or if we are in edit mode, we click on the 3 dots here on the right-hand side, the quick menu, and then click on edit settings, and that'll take us to the same view as earlier. To add components in our course, you'd use the add an activity or a resource, and then from here you can add assignments, attendance, book, forums, lessons, pages, quizzes, and so on in the course, including Zoom, as you can see in the very bottom. And we'll go through most of those in the rest of this tutorial. To do the grade setup, you click here on grades, and this will display the list of grades for your students. In our case, we don't have any activities yet, and therefore no grades. To go to the gradebook setup, we click here on the grader report, and all the options for the gradebook are going to be listed in this drop-down, and the most commonly used one, it's going to be this gradebook setup. Typically, to return to the course, we click here on course, and that'll take us to the main page of our course. To turn editing off in the course, you toggle the option edit mode here on the top right, and that'll give us the default view. As you get started with e-learning, it is important to note that possibilities are limitless in what you can do with your course. And here is an example of an online course with all the various types of activities, the instructor information, the video from the instructor, the syllabus, announcements, then each unit, the various activities. Notice the course index here on the left-hand side, and the additional blocks for the completion progress for the students on the right-hand side. Another thing to remember is that if you build the course for one term, you can reuse that course by importing the content for each new term. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how you modify the information about your course or the heading. So now we are in the course page. It's just an empty shell. First, we need to turn editing on. Click Edit Mode on the right, and now notice that you have these edit options. We click here on the little pencil icon, and then type the name of the course. On the right-hand side, click on Edit, the three dots, the quick menu, and then click on Edit Settings. Here you can put your name, contact information, maybe a brief overview of the course, an image, and so on. Here you can use any of those tools, including options to record a quick video or an audio file. In my case, I'm going to show you how you add an image as part of the course overview area. Go to the very beginning, click on the image option, click to upload, select my file, and then you could set it to be the original size, but it's going to be too big. So I'll change it to be custom size, a 500 pixel width, put a description, and then press save. By default, it's going to put the image on the left-hand side. I'm going to simply click on the image here, click on the indentation to the right, and then press Save Changes. Next, here we turn editing off, and this is how it will look for the top of the page. Now to go to the page itself for the whole course, click here on this breadcrumb with a course code, and this is how it looks so far. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, we are going to learn how to add the course description and an image to the card for the course that will display in the dashboard. So we go here to the course settings, scroll down. This is where you would put in your course summary. Then under course image, click here on the add icon, click on choose file, and then find the image that we want to utilize, and then click on upload this file. Then scroll down and press save and display. Currently, it seems like nothing new happened. However, if we go back here to the dashboard, the change that we just made is this one. And it displays the image that we added, and then the description that we added, it will show only when you select the summary view under the course overview. Next in our tutorial, we are going to learn how to add the syllabus to the course. Once we navigate to our course page, turn editing on. We click here on edit mode on the top right, and now we want to add the syllabus. You can use drag and drop, or you can simply click here on add an activity and select the option for file. Give it a name, then scroll down and then select the file that you want to add. You can drag and drop them, or click here on add and then choose file. Find the syllabus file that you want to utilize, and then click on upload this file. Then scroll down, leave all of these options alone, and then press save and return to the course. Now the syllabus has been posted, and to view it, you click on it, download it. Now you can also have the windows side by side, so this is the Mac view here, and to use the drag and drop option, so you have to get the windows side by side, and that's a whole new setup. In Windows, this is much quicker, actually much easier. Now that I'm on the course page with editing turned on, and I can go to my files on the left from the Finder, and then drag this to the section that I want to drag it to. And now notice that it placed the syllabus right here. If I wanted another activity, you can pick where you want to drop it, and so on. On a Windows PC, you just bring the Windows Explorer on top of your current window, and then simply drag the file to wherever you want, whichever block you want. Next in the e-learning tutorial, we're going to learn how to add the first lecture for the first week. To make any changes to the course, we need to click Edit Mode on the right-hand side of the course page. Then we go to the section where we want to add an activity. Here where it says new section, we could name this week 1 or unit 1 or whatever you want to name it. You can put the date in there as well, followed by the topic that you are going to study. Hit enter on the keyboard, and this is the title for that particular unit. If you want to add an additional explanation below the unit itself, click here on the 3 dots on the right hand side under Edit, and then click on Edit Settings. Then in the description area, enter the details for that particular unit, and then press Save. Now we navigate back to the main course page by clicking on the course code. To upload the first lecture, you can use the drag and drop option in Windows. You just bring up the File Explorer, and then you have the File Explorer a little bit smaller than the full e-learning screen here, and you drag it to the right, and it should move the file over. In my case, I'm using a Mac to record it, and the drag and drop is not as simple. So I'm going to demonstrate it by adding the lecture manually using Add an Activity or a Resource option. So we click here on Add an Activity or Resource. You click on File. You give it a name. You don't need to put a description. Then you click here on Select Files to add. Find the file that you want to add. In my case, here's my presentation 1. And then upload the file. Leave all the additional options here alone, and then press Save and return to the course. At this point, the Lecture 1 Notes has been configured. Students will be able to click on it, download it, and view it. So that's how you upload files. These could be your PDF files, lecture notes that you have in Microsoft Word or any type of other format, PDF, and things of that nature. You can turn editing off in the course by toggling the edit mode on the top right, and you'll see what the course looks like so far. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, we're going to learn how to configure the gradebook. Typically, before you start creating assignment activities in your course, it is best to configure the gradebook. Obviously, you want to do this early in the course before you start developing it. So to configure the gradebook, we need to be on the main course page. So we click here on Grades, click on the drop-down under Grader Report, and here are all the options related to the gradebook setup. Now further down in the Setup area, we click here on Gradebook Setup. Typically, the gradebook configuration derives from your syllabus. So in your syllabus, you'd have something like this, where you have, for example, readings, videos, and quick quizzes are 5% of the course grade. Then you have forums are 15% of the course grade. Then the unit projects, 20% of the course grade. So we need to enter these percentages as separate categories in the e-learning. So we switch back here to our e-learning page, and we are currently in Gradebook Setup. And then on the right-hand side, this is where we want to add the category. Click on Add Category, Reading and Quick Quizzes. Then under the aggregation, most of the time you want to select Simple Weighted Mean of Grades. Not the default here, Weighted Mean of Grades, but the one that says Simple Weighted Mean of Grades. Then you leave everything else alone for now. Then add the next category. Add Category, and then in our case, Forums. Again, Simple Weighted Mean of Grades. Press Save. Then we add the next category, Unit Papers. Simple, again, important. A lot of faculty forget this. Needs to be Simple Weighted Mean of Grades, unless within a category you have assignments of a different weight, where you have assignment 1 counts for 10%, assignment 2 counts for 20% of that particular category. Then we press Save. So we added 3 categories so far. Then let's say we have a final project. Even though that is one single item, we still enter it as a separate category, and then press Simple Weighted Mean of Grades. And then press Save. And then let's say we have a category called Final Exam. Let's say we have a midterm and a final, but therefore they are exams in the exam category. click on Simple Weighted. If a midterm, let's say it's 30% of the exams category and the other one is 70%, then you leave it as weighted mean of grades. In most cases, you simply use simple weighted mean of grades and then press Save. So we currently have added all the categories. Now we need to add the weights for each category. So if we look in our syllabus from earlier, the weight here was 5% for the readings and quizzes, then 15% for the forums, and then 20% for the projects. So we go here to readings and we erase what's in there and we just put 5% for the first one because that's what it was, 5%. Forums were 15, unit papers were 20. So far we have 40%, 5 plus 15 plus 20. Let's say final project is 30%, and then exams are going to be another 30. Now the total for these categories should come to 100%. Then we press Save Changes. So far we are simply configuring to the categories that we have in the course based off the syllabus. And then when we create the assignments, within the assignment configuration, we'll specify which category is it associated with. So for example, when we create a forum in a little bit, we'll specify that that forum activity is part of the forums category for the course. Or when we create a quiz or a reading report, we'll specify that that particular reading report is associated with the readings and quick quizzes. So once we have entered those percentages, then we click on Save Changes, and then we are set with a main setup for the gradebook. Then we go back here to the course and then create the specific graded activities. And I'll demonstrate that in the next segment. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you provide general information about readings or what students have to do for a particular unit or a week. You typically do this via what's called a page. So we go here and turn editing on in the course. So we go into edit mode and then scroll to the unit where you want to enter that particular informational piece. In our case, we can use either add an activity or a resource, or if we move our mouse above lecture 1, let's say we want to insert something in there, we click on the little plus sign and then select page. Page, it's simply a mechanism to provide information to the students. It's not a graded activity, it's just information as to what they have to do. Now, we do suggest that you put numbers for each item in the course page. In that way, if students have issues with accessing or completing an activity, they can reference it by the number. Readings and objectives, and then under the content area down here, not in the description area, but the content area, this is where you post your objectives. Then you can select to format this the way you want. Notice there are 3 dots here where you can utilize additional options. Adjust the formatting. And then also, if this box is too small, you can make this larger by dragging it downwards from the bottom right corner. Once you are set, then press Save and return to the course. Now notice readings and objectives has been posted, and these are the details for it. Segment of the e-learning tutorial, we're going to learn how to create a graded assignment activity. So we go to the course page and then click on Edit Mode on the top right. Navigate to the particular unit where we want to add the activity and click on Add an activity or a resource, or click on the little plus sign wherever you want to add that activity. Next, click on Assignment. Then give it a name. Then under the description, this is where you'll post all the details related to this assignment. You can have them either as part of the syllabus, or you may have them in a separate document, or whatever the case may be. Copy those directions and post those directions and requirements under the description area. If you have additional files related to this assignment, whether it's more details or an article for them to read or a rubric for them to reference and so on, you can attach it from here by clicking on the Add File, click on Choose, and then find the file that you want to upload. And then press Upload this file, and then scroll down. Then under Availability, this is where you can specify when students are allowed to upload. We do not suggest that you restrict when they can start uploading. However, you can specify when the assignment is due. The cutoff date removes the ability for students to upload that assignment after that particular time and date. Remember the time here, it's in military time. Under the submission types, you have the two options that the students will be allowed to upload. So they can upload what's called online text. It's basically just a box where they can type content, and then it will allow them to upload file submissions as well, to upload actual files in Word or other formats. We suggest that you leave both of these options as they are, and then the system will allow them to upload up to 20 files. You can choose to allow them less. As far as the file types, we suggest you leave that alone. The next section you may need to adjust is the grade area. This is basically saying that you're going to grade this using a point system up to 100 points. And then further down under grade category, this is where you specify where this paper belongs, under which category it belongs. So we configured the gradebook first, and therefore these categories show up current. And that's the advantage of configuring the gradebook first in your course, because it will enable you to select which category something belongs to when configuring the assignment. So here we're going to say this belongs under unit papers. If you don't know how to configure the gradebook, reference the section on configuring the gradebook. Completion conditions. This is something for you to consider where you add requirements. So it'll put a check mark for students once they meet certain requirements. So by default, for assignments, you want to make it so that they have to make a submission. They upload the paper and they are done on their end. The copy leaks component, this is an add-on. This is for plagiarism and artificial intelligence detection. You can select to enable it, just put a check mark to it, and then press save and return to the course. So that's all you have to do to configure an assignment. Now, here under item 1.3 that we just created, the students will click on it. They'll view all the details, the due date, because we specify the due date, and all the requirements, including a reference document to a rubric. Now here is how the students upload assignments in e-learning once the instructor configures an assignment. So the student has logged in and goes to item 1.3, which is the Unit 1 assignment, reviews the details, references the documents and the rubric, and then toward the end, there is the option for Upload Assignment. Click on Upload Assignment, and then they have to confirm that this is their work. They can put notes here in the online text area. And then further down under File Submissions, this is where the student can drag and drop files in here, or click on the Upload button and then choose the file and then upload it. Then press Save Changes, and the student has uploaded their assignment. They can remove the submission, they can make changes to it, and then below here the students will be able to view the grading status. And farther down, once you grade it, they're going to be able to review comments that you provided. So here we had an assignment configured earlier, the research paper, and now we need to grade it. To grade it, you click on it, and then scroll down and click on View All Submissions. Here you'll see a listing of the students. Now notice here we have the assignment that the student uploaded on the right-hand side, the student name on the left, and the option for grading. Here we click on Grade, And then on the left-hand side, the system will give us a preview of the assignment that they uploaded. Now, in my case, I didn't make too many changes to it since I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. You can grade this a couple ways. You can enter comments directly on the PDF on the left, and you enter those comments by using these tools on the top. So if I wanted to add here a comment, I draw the box. So you basically are drawing these boxes wherever something is missing. The other thing you can do is click on these additional tools and using the pen tool. So you can highlight areas and then utilize it in conjunction with the comment option on the top. So this would be inline grading. Now, if for some reason you don't want one of those comments, you can click on this icon on the top right of the little comment area box, and then click on Delete Comment. Note that once you create specific comments, you can also add those comments to a quick list. So you can reuse those comments for grading other student papers. Now, if I wanted to reuse the same comment, notice that as soon as I enter a comment box, I can reuse that same comment that I used earlier. So basically, it's a mechanism and it will save you time grading student papers by adding comments to your comment list. The other option to grade this assignment is to enter comments here on the right-hand side under the feedback comments. Notice that from here, there are additional tools as well. You can even record audio comments or video comments for up to 7 minutes. The other option is for you to download the Word version of the document, make comments using Microsoft Word or PDF editing tools, and then further down here under feedback files, you'd upload the graded paper as part of a feedback file. In my case, I don't really have it, so I'm going to upload, let's say, the study guide. It is important to provide substantive feedback because the students need to know what they did do well and what they didn't do well to give them an opportunity to improve. Then when you're ready, you can enter the grade directly from here. Notice on the top, there is also the scan-in process. We use copy leaks for originality and AI checking, and this is where the score will be posted once that assignment has been scanned. And then you move on to grade the next student assignment. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you provide general information about readings or what students have to do for a particular unit or a week. You typically do this via what's called a page. So we go here and turn editing on in the course. So we go into edit mode and then scroll to the unit where you want to enter that particular informational piece. In our case, we can use either add an activity or a resource, or if we move our mouse above lecture 1, let's say we want to insert something in there, we click on the little plus sign and then select page. Page, it's simply a mechanism to provide information to the students. It's not a graded activity, it's just information as to what they have to do. Now, we do suggest that you put numbers for each item in the course page. In that way, if students have issues with accessing or completing an activity, they can reference it by the number. Readings and objectives, and then under the content area down here, not in the description area, but the content area, this is where you post your objectives. Then you can select to format this the way you want. Notice there are 3 dots here where you can utilize additional options. Adjust the formatting. And then also, if this box is too small, you can make this larger by dragging it downwards from the bottom right corner. Once you are set, then press save and return to the course. Now notice readings and objectives has been posted, and these are the details for it. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you move items in your course. So here, notice that I have item 1.3, then it jumps to 1.5, but then I have 1.4 right after it. Or there may be a case where you want to move an item to a different section completely. To move the items, you need to be in edit mode in the course. So it needs to be toggled to on here on edit mode. Then you scroll down and then find the item that you want to move, hold down the mouse, and then drag it to wherever you want it. So in my case, I need to put it right before 1.5, and then you just let it go. If you want to move it across multiple units, you simply drag it further down to wherever you want it and let it go. If I want to move it back, just drag it up and let the mouse go. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how you grade forums. There are a couple ways to grade forums. You can grade the whole forum using points. You can grade the whole forum using what's called advanced grading using a rubric, or you can grade forums rating each post that the student makes. In these three scenarios, I'm going to click on the forum activity here, and then first I'm going to show where you determine this configuration. So we have opened the forum activity, and notice that these are the requirements that we created at some point, and then further down there is the student engagement. In this case, it's only myself and not using actual student information. To check the configuration of this forum, we go here to Settings after we have opened the forum activity, and then we scroll down. If you go to Whole Forum Grading, it's configured to use a grading system with points. You could use a scale, or if you don't want to grade anything, you'd select None from this area. And then under the gradebook configuration, it's configured to be associated with a forums category, which has to do with the gradebook. Now, to grade this, let's suppose that the students submitted their work and now we need to grade this. You as the instructor, you'll need to click here on Grade Users and then locate the student name here on the right-hand side. You're going to read each post and then assign a grade for it. And then you're going to press Save, and then you'll move to the next student. In this case, the student didn't post anything. You'd give them a 0, press Save, press Close, and now it brings us back to the forum. If you go back to the course, we click here at the top, and then we go under Grades. You'll notice that the grade has been posted, so 16A, this was the one that we posted. Notice the grades have been posted for this particular activity. Now let's go to the second scenario. The second scenario for grading a forum is using a rubric. In our case, we have this 16B, and now we want to configure this. We have not started grading yet. Ideally, you want to configure the rubric earlier before students start posting. At this point, we want to simply configure it to use a rubric. You can go here to Advanced Grading on the top, and currently there is no rubric set for it. So we click here on Create a New Rubric, so you could create one from scratch. And we'll do a different tutorial for creating rubrics from scratch. For now, we are going to use a new rubric from a template. So we scroll down, and these are all the different rubrics that we have in the system for various types of activities. So this one, it's 100 points in total, 70 for the initial post, 10 for each response, and 10 for the communication. And these would be the actual requirements and then the levels for each requirement. So we click here on Use this template. And then we press Continue. Now we go back to the forum itself here. And you can do that by going to Forum on the top left here. Or if you're on the actual course page, you go back to the forum, 1.6b. And now we want to grade. Notice we have a couple discussions going on with this, and now we want to grade it. We click here on Grade Users, and then notice on the right-hand side we have these options now based on the rubric that we selected earlier. So you would review for current student here, and the list of students would be by going left and right. You'd find the initial post, you'd read it, evaluate it, assess it, and then specify was it developed or in what stage it was developed. So that's for the initial post. You could put some feedback, then the first reply for classmates. You could again read, locate the first reply, and then provide one of the assessments. And notice it's going to be associated with points. The second reply, in our case, the student didn't submit one. And then we move further down to the quality of communication. And the system is going to aggregate all these points, and all you have to do is press save and move to the next student to grade their work. Now, if we go back to the grades in the course, so we go to the main course page, and then we go to grades, you'll notice that for 1.6b, the student got a 90. That's because for one of the responses, the student did not submit the second peer response. Now, if we go back to the course, there is one other method for grading the forums, and that is to rate each response separately. So here is rating the actual separate posts. So we have the prompt, the initial prompt. If we go here to settings and scroll down, notice that whole forum grading is not enabled. We are not grading the whole forum in one shot here. We are going and grading each post. We are rating each post, assigning points to it, and then you can select for those points, should they be added up, or should they be averaged, or should they be counted, and so on. So in our case, the best would be to add them up, because the initial post typically should amount for more points than the actual responses. So we are going to add up the points for each post, and then the total will be a maximum of 100 for all of them. So then we press save and display here. So this was just the configuration for grading. Now we come here to Sully's post, and you as the instructor read through it. And notice in the bottom here, you have this option, this drop down. That option was not available in the previous posts. So you click on the drop down option, and then you're, let's say, rating the first post against 70 points. And you come and say, okay, well, this is worth 65 points. Then you rate the next post as well. Again, we are rating the current student here. This was a response, so let's say this was 4 points worth. And then you go to the main page again for your forum, and now you go and grade the next set of responses. This you could do it for separate students. In my case, it's just me because I'm just simulating and testing this for demonstration purposes. So this, you read this post as well, and you say, okay, well, this is worth 10 points. Now, if we go back to the gradebook, course page, we go to grades, and we'll notice that for Forum 1C, notice it has aggregated for current student 79 points. So it added the total points that we assigned to each, that we rated for each post. Again, there are a few ways to configure forums for grading. You can grade the whole forum, like we mentioned earlier, using points. You can grade the whole forum using a rubric, or you can grade each response separately. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how you grade forums. There are a couple ways to grade forums. You can grade the whole forum using points. You can grade the whole forum using what's called advanced grading, using a rubric, or you can grade forums rating each post that the student makes. In these three scenarios, I'm going to click on the forum activity here, and then first I'm going to show where you determine this configuration. So we have opened the forum activity, and notice that these are the requirements that we created at some point, and then further down there is the student engagement. In this case, it's only myself and not using actual student information. To check the configuration of this forum, we go here to Settings after we have opened the forum activity, and then we scroll down. If you go to Whole Forum Grading, it's configured to use a grading system with points. You could use a scale, or if you don't want to grade anything, you'd select None from this area. And then under the gradebook configuration, it's configured to be associated with a forums category, which has to do with the gradebook. Now, to grade this, let's suppose that the students submitted their work and now we need to grade this. You as the instructor, you'll need to click here on Grade Users, and then locate the student name here on the right-hand side. You're going to read each post and then assign a grade for it. And then you're going to press Save, and then you'll move to the next student. In this case, the student didn't post anything. You give them a 0, press Save, press Close, and now it brings us back to the forum. If you go back to the course, we click here at the top, and then we go under Grades. You'll notice that the grade has been posted, so 16A, this was the one that we posted. Notice the grades have been posted for this particular activity. Now let's go to the second scenario. The second scenario for grading a forum is using a rubric. In our case, we have this 16B, and now we want to configure this. We have not started grading yet. Ideally, you want to configure the rubric earlier before students start posting. At this point, we want to simply configure it to use a rubric. You can go here to Advanced Grading on the top, and currently there is no rubric set for it. So we click here on Create a New Rubric, so you could create one from scratch. And we'll do a different tutorial for creating rubrics from scratch. For now, we are going to use a new rubric from a template. So we scroll down, and these are all the different rubrics that we have in the system for various types of activities. So this one, it's 100 points in total, 70 for the initial post, 10 for each response, and 10 for the communication. And these would be the actual requirements and then the levels for each requirement. So we click here on Use this template. And then we press Continue. Now we go back to the forum itself here. And you can do that by going to Forum on the top left here. Or if you're on the actual course page, you go back to the forum, 1.6b. And now we want to grade. Notice we have a couple discussions going on with this. And now we want to grade it. We click here on Grade Users. And then notice on the right-hand side, we have these options now based on the rubric that we selected earlier. So you would review for current student here, and the list of students would be by going left and right. You'd find the initial post, you'd read it, evaluate it, assess it, and then specify was it developed or in what stage it was developed. So that's for the initial post. You could put some feedback, then the first reply for classmates. You could, again, locate the first reply, and then provide one of the assessments. And notice it's going to be associated with points. The second reply, in our case, the student didn't submit one. And then we move further down to the quality of communication. And the system is going to aggregate all these points, and all you have to do is press Save and move to the next student to grade their work. Now, if we go back to the grades in the course, so we go to the main course page, and then we go to Grades, you'll notice that for 1.6b, the student got a 90. That's because for one of the responses, the student did not submit the second peer response. Now, if we go back to the course, there is one other method for grading the forums, and that is to rate each response separately. So here is rating the actual separate posts. So we have the prompt, the initial prompt. If we go here to settings and scroll down, notice that whole forum grading is not enabled. We are not grading the whole forum in one shot here. We are going and grading each post. We are rating each post, assigning points to it, and then you can select for those points, should they be added up, or should they be averaged, or should they be counted, and so on. So in our case, the best would be to add them up, because the initial post typically should amount for more points than the actual responses. So we are going to add up the points for each post, and then the total will be a maximum of 100 for all of them. So then we press save and display here. So this was just the configuration for grading. Now we come here to Sally's post, and you as the instructor read through it. And notice in the bottom here you have this option, this drop down. That option was not available in the previous posts. So you click on the drop down option, and then you're, let's say, rating the first post against 70 points. And you come and say, okay, well, this is worth 65 points. Then you rate the next post as well. Again, we are rating the Karen student here. This was a response, so let's say this was 4 points worth. And then you go to the main page again for your forum, and now you go and grade the next set of responses. This you could do it for separate students. In my case, it's just me because I'm just simulating and testing this for demonstration purposes. So this, you read this post as well, and you say, okay, well, this is worth 10 points. Now, if we go back to the gradebook, course page, we go to grades, and we'll notice that for forum 1C, notice it has aggregated for Karen student 79 points. So it added the total points that we assigned to each, that we rated for each post. Again, there are a few ways to configure forums for grading. You can grade the whole forum, like we mentioned earlier, using points. You can grade the whole forum using a rubric, or you can grade each response separately. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll be demonstrating how you respond to a student post in a forum. So here we have one of the forums. Click on it. Here is the prompt posted for all the students to respond. As the students start responding, this is the response. Now you as the instructor can come in and post a response, a reply to this. You can post this reply for all the class to see or for only the student. So you press reply, and then you type your response in here. If you want a private reply, you select this private reply option. Now, it is important that the feedback that you provide is substantive. It helps the student with their studies. So notice in this case, we have the instructor provided quite a bit of feedback and even included references as part of the response to set the example on how to engage in the forums. Then if you press post to the forum here, it will be available. The response will be available to all the students. If you reply privately, that will be available only to the student. The other option is if you click here on Advanced on the right-hand side, and this is available for students as well. Here you can upload additional files, or you can provide a video response by clicking on Record Video, and then you'd need to allow the camera and the microphone to be used by the browser. Once you're done with your response, whether via text or via video, then you'd press post to the forum, and your response will show up as part of this thread of the discussion. Again, particularly for online courses, this is one of the main ways where the faculty engages with the students in the course and is not only beneficial for the students, but it's a requirement for our online courses. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you create a quiz. To create a quiz, we first go into edit mode in the course by toggling edit mode on the top right, and then we scroll down to the unit or the area where we want to insert a quiz. We click on add an activity or a resource and then select the quiz option. Here we give it a name. You can provide a description for the quiz, like what it covers, the readings that it covers, whether it's an open book or closed book. Under timing, this is where you can specify whether you want to close the quiz at a specific time, when you want to make the quiz available, and how much time you want to allow the students to take the quiz. So in this case, we're going to allow them only 30 minutes. Under the grade area, this is where we designate under which category this falls. So this would be, let's say, under quizzes, and then how many attempts the students will be allowed. So let's say 2 attempts. And then as far as the grading method, in most cases, the faculty selects highest grade. Under the question behavior, you may want to hide some of those items here. For example, while the quiz is open, do you want to show them the correct answer, or whether it was correct or not, and whether to show them the right answer or not? And then after the quiz is closed, provided you set a deadline for the closing, you can hide certain areas of the quiz. Leave everything else alone and then press save and display. At this point, you're ready to add the questions to the quiz, because so far we just simply designated an item, a quiz item on the course page, but we have not added the questions. Now the questions, you could add them manually, or you could use a question bank, and you can import question banks also from textbooks. But for now, we're going to learn how to add the questions manually. Now to add the question, if for some reason you lost track where we are here in the course page. We created a quiz activity and we don't have any questions yet. So we click on add question here, or we go under questions on the top. So we click on add question, and then we have the option here to add. Again, you can add new questions manually or from a question bank. So we add the questions manually. There are multiple options here that you can select. The most common ones are the multiple choice, true and false, and essay questions. So we select here multiple choice, then we click on add. Under the question name, type your question in there, and then the question text, this is what the student will see. Then we have the options for this particular question. So like, how many points should this question be? Let's say 10 points. And how many answers? Only one correct answer. Shuffle the choices, yes. Then we have the different choices. So to tell the system that this is the correct answer, for option 1 or choice 1, we specify here this is 100%. You can also provide feedback. So when the student selects this option, the system will provide automated feedback, and this is highly recommended. Then we specify option 2, and this is a detractor, so we leave it at none. Then option 3, and then choice 4. And remember to insert feedback for each one of the options. You can also specify general feedback. If they selected correctly or incorrectly, they would get the same common feedback. But the more effective one is depending on the option that they selected. And then we press Save Changes. So we have one question already. Now we add another question, and another common type is true and false question. We click on Add. You could name this question 2. It's also best when you name these to probably have the name of the exam. So this would be, for example, quiz 1, question 2. And then you specify the actual question as part of the text. Again, you have general feedback. The correct answer in this case, it's false. And you could provide specific feedback if it's true, or specific feedback if it's false, and then press Save Changes. The third type of question that we'll design for this part of the quiz is an essay question. So we click here on Add, New Question, select Essay, click on Add, post the question text for the student, and then leave the rest of the options as they are. It's basically going to allow the students to type in an HTML editor up to 10 lines. You could limit the number of words and allow them to upload attachments as part of the essay question. If you have a TA grading your assignments, you could put in here notes for the grader so that when they go to grade it, they can keep this into consideration from the course designer. Then we press Save, and now the questions for this quiz have been configured. Notice here that the first question we assigned it 10 points. You can change the number of points here for each other question. So let's say this will be 15 points, and the essay question will be 30, and a total so far it's 55. Now you can set the total grade to be 55 in total up here, and that will correlate with the distribution of each question, or you can leave it against 100 points, and then the system is still going to give more weight to the one that had more points to start with. Also, you can select to shuffle the questions, and each student will get a different order of the questions. This is very helpful, particularly if you're in a class where the students can potentially see each other's screens. Let's assume we have entered all the questions. You can go here to the Quiz tab on the top, and you can select to preview the quiz. And it will look like this. Then the students take the quiz. I'm logged in as a student. The student will see that they have 2 attempts, a time of 30 minutes, and the highest grade. They'll start the attempt. Of course, they need to type more content in here as part of the essay question. Then they'll click Finish Attempt and Submit All and Finish. Again, this is the student view, and it gives the students a report. Now, you as the instructor, to go and grade or review the quiz, you go to the course page, you click on the quiz, and notice that 1 attempt has been made already in this quiz. Click on Attempts, scroll down, and you'll be able to see a report for the student. So in this case, we have the Karen student. It took 1 minute to complete it, and the 2 questions, and then the essay question that has not been graded yet. Now notice it took 1 minute. If the quiz truly takes 30 minutes to complete and you have students that completed it in 1 minute, then there is potentially an issue and you need to keep an eye on this. Now the other question is, how do you grade these essay questions? You could grade each one of them manually from each student, but that gets to be very tedious. How to grade essay questions in a quiz or exam in e-learning. There may be quizzes where you as the instructor have configured essay questions for the students, and these questions need to be graded manually. So in our case, I have a couple true and false multiple choice questions, and then the third question, it's an essay question. To get to the results of the quiz, you either click here on Results on the top or click on Attempts below. So if we click on Results, it'll take us in and give a preview of the students that have taken this quiz. Now in most classes you'll have 20 or 30 students. And notice this one it says not graded yet. So while you can go and grade this manually from here, you'd have to go through every single one of those instances, and it creates a lot more work. So to grade all the essay questions, now in our case we have only one student and one question, but the process is the same. So to grade all the essay questions, while you are in the results page, you need to click here on the grades area, on the drop down, and select manual grading. Now under manual grading, it's going to list all the essay questions that are part of this particular quiz that need to be graded manually. And then you're going to need to click here on grade all. And the system, it's going to display 5 students per page here by default. You can change this to show 100 of them per page. You'll be able to see the student response and the feedback from you as the instructor, and also how many points. In most cases, you'll have additional students here, so depending on how many you selected per page, if you selected 5, then there will be 5 students listed, and then you'll press save and show the next. If you want 50 students listed, then it's going to show all 50 or however many are there available up to 50, and then you'll press save and show next. So in other words, you're grading the same essay question for all students at the same time, rather than having to open a new window for every question for every student. So you click here on save and show next, and that's all that there is to it. And if you go here to results, notice the grade has been posted for that question. Then those grades are going to be calculated automatically and then posted in the gradebook, which is available from the main course page. You go to grades, and then here we should be able to see the quiz grade for this particular student. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to give extra time to a student in a quiz. So there may be timed quizzes where students are allowed, let's say, 30 minutes for the exam or the quiz. However, for particular students with special needs, they may need time and a half. To do that, we go here to the quiz activity and notice that this one has a 30-minute time. To create an override, we need to click here on More and then click on Overrides. Then we select Add a User Override and then search for the student, either by clicking on the drop-down and picking the particular student, or searching by name. You could allow them to take the quiz at a different time from other students, or in our case, we wanted to give them time and a half. So this would be 45 minutes. And then press save, and that's all you have to do to allow a student extra time or additional accommodations for the particular quiz. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I will demonstrate how to duplicate items in your course. To duplicate items in the course, you first need to turn editing on by clicking here on Edit Mode on the top right. Then let's say that you have an activity very similar to this, an assignment activity, where it has the requirements, the brief requirements. It also has the gradebook configuration, where it belongs in unit papers. And instead of you having to create the assignment from scratch every time, you can go to the course and duplicate this assignment or activity. And to duplicate it, all you have to do is you click on the 3 dots here on the right-hand side, the quick menu, while editing is on in the course, and then click on duplicate. You can drag this item down to wherever you need it in another unit in your course by simply holding down the mouse, and then change the title. And then you can go into the settings for this assignment, either by using the quick menu, using the settings option on the very top, after you have clicked on the assignment, and then make changes for this particular assignment. So it's saving you some of the steps instead of having to create an assignment from scratch. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I will demonstrate how to configure attendance in your course. So we first go to our course page and go into edit mode by clicking on the edit mode on the top right. Next, we go to the top of the course and then click on add an activity or a resource and then select attendance. Give it a name, either call it attendance or class attendance, and then scroll down here under grade. By default, the system will assign a grade to the attendance activity for the course. In most cases, you don't associate it with a grade, and you click here on type and select none. Then click on save and display. Now we need to specify when your class meets so that the system can create the times that you will take attendance for this course. So we get to the screen either by clicking on the save and display like we did a moment ago, or if we are in the main course page, we click class attendance. Click on add a session, and then we specify when the class starts and then what time the class starts. Notice it's military time. Then for the description, put class attendance or regular class. Repeat the sessions, let's say every Monday, every Wednesday, and Friday, every week until the 9th of December. So again, we enter the date, the time when the class meets, we give it a description, and then we repeat those times and we specify that the days of the week when the class will take place. It takes place once a week on these particular days, and then repeat it until December 9. Then click on add. The system created all the instances for the rest of the semester. Now let's say that sometime in October there's going to be the fall break. Let's say from 10-11 here, 10-14. In these cases we can delete those two instances, and then we are set for the whole duration of the semester. To configure the attendance, we enter the attendance activity only once in the course. And then once we enter the attendance activity once in the course, then we specify when the class meets. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I will demonstrate how to take attendance in your class. Provided you have configured the attendance module in your course, click on the attendance activity, typically at the top of the course, and select the date when your class is meeting. So let's say it's the 26th of August. If I want to take attendance for this particular day, you click here on the triangle and you'll see a listing of all the students in your class. P stands for present, L for late, E for excused, and A for absent. If your class meets on site, which most classes will in this case, we suggest that you press P to mark everyone present, then call the names of the students, and if somebody is missing, you mark that particular student as absent or late or excused and so on. You can also add remarks, then save and show the next page. Now once the attendance has been taken for a particular day, you'll see this green arrow where you can go to change the attendance, or you can click here on the date. So if we go back here to the course page, and let's say that the student that you had marked as absent, now you want to update the attendance record, you click here on attendance, you go to this particular date, either here on the left or the green arrow on the right, and then locate the student and then correct their record. As the instructor in the course, As you continue taking attendance, there are also options here to view a report, and this will display an overview of the student records throughout your course. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I will demonstrate how to import a course from a prior semester. So to import a course, go to the course where we want to import the content to. So in this case, it would be the current term. We go to the course shell, and in our case, I'm going to use here an example ACC 221 Financial Accounting as the blank page. Now we click here on More on the top, and then click on Course Reuse. Click on Import, and then typically the courses that you have taught in the past, they'll show up in this list, or you can scroll to the bottom and then type the course code with an underscore in between the course numbers there, and then press search, and I'll try to retrieve the copy here from fall 23. Next, click on Continue. Leave these options as they are, then click on Next, and then at this point you can exclude certain components that you don't want to bring over. In our case, we don't want the syllabus from fall 23, and let's say we don't need the attendance. You can unselect certain options. You can also unselect everything in one shot from here. So let's say you have to bring over only a couple of the items. Unselect everything, and then you go in and select only the stuff that you want. Now, if you unselect everything, then you need to make sure that you select the top section here and then the actual item below it in that section. In my case, I'm going to select everything, and I don't want the syllabus from fall 23. Leave everything else alone, and then click on Next. It's going to give us a preview of what it's going to bring over, and then press Perform Import. Now it will have the content as it was from the previous term. Now, one thing to note as well is that in some cases, the headings for the different sections may not come over, and you need to kind of compare those with the previous course to match them with what you want for the new term. In our case here, it worked fine where the chapters came over and assignments and so on. Now this will bring over the gradebook configuration and all the other items as they were in the original course. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the built-in video recorder to provide feedback or to respond in forums or to add assignment details via video. You can also use this tool for recording lectures. Go to any activity where you use the editor tool. If we go here to this assignment, and then we go under Settings, select a spot where you want to insert the video. So you can hit Enter a couple times just to create a little bit of extra space. Then wherever you see this record video icon, you can insert a video for up to 7 minutes. So now that we have the spot where we want to record the video, click here on Record Video, and then typically it's going to prompt you to allow the camera and the microphone here on the top left. You'll click to allow the camera and the microphone, and then click on Start Recording. The recorder will allow you to record for up to 7 minutes, lecture about the assignment or give requirements of the assignment, and then click on Stop Recording when you're done. Then click on Attach Recording, and if this window is too small, you can make this larger, and then scroll down and press Save and return to the course. Now the students will click on the activity and they will be able to play the video directly from here. There's no need to download anything for you as the instructor or upload it anywhere to share it or any of that type of thing. As you noticed, it's very easy. Now, if for some reason you want to redo this video or you want to get rid of it, You can go here to the settings again for the assignment, scroll down, place the cursor right after the video somewhere, and then press backspace a couple times or delete on your keyboard a couple times. And that will remove the video. Then press save and return the course, and that should do it. You can use the same thing under announcements or forums as well for the forum directions. Now, if you're responding to student posts, you have to do one additional click here. So you click on the specific student post and then scroll down until you see the reply option. Once you press reply, notice that by default it's just a simplified reply option here with no toolbar. To get to the option for the toolbar to record a video, you need to click here on Advanced, and this is the same option for students as well. And then utilize the recorder tool and also upload attachments as well. Similarly, how we did for the assignment earlier, we need to click on Record Video, allow the camera if we are prompted to, start recording, stop the recording, attach the recording, and then press Post to the forum. It works the same way for any of the other activities, such as a page, even grading student work when you provide feedback to them. In this segment of the e-learning tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to provide feedback via video for student assignments. So we have this assignment, and now we want to grade it. So we go down and click on View All Submissions. And now we want to go to this particular paper from the Cairn student. Click on Grade, and in addition to the built-in grading here on the left-hand side, the instructors can use video feedback as well. And to do that, we click on the additional tools here on the toolbar, and then select Record Video. At this point, the system is going to prompt you to allow the camera and the microphone. If it does on the left, you'll click to allow them, and then start recording, and then provide the student feedback via video. Then here we click on Stop Recording, then click on Attach Recording, and then your video feedback will be posted directly as part of this graded assignment. Then press Save Changes,